If you drop your resume in on a job applicant site and you still have to put in your name, your address, everything, and then they want everything, even managers' information, phone numbers. That's a pretty dated system. It's nice to see the ping pong tables and the free popcorn, but is that because we expect you to be at work all the time? You have to pay attention to the small cues, and that person that you're responding to, or if they're the hiring manager, if they say, I'm very hands-on, I'm a very hands-on manager. That's a key for, I am your micromanager.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that means I'm going to be in your face all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
cute. That's a red flag in an interview.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode on Career Kickstart Conversations. I'm Kailyn, the host, of course, and today we have June with us. Before I have her introduce herself, the topic today is red flags in the application, job interview, and job offer stages. So anyway, without further ado, hello, welcome, June.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. Well, everybody, I am June Lankford. I am an HR professional, been doing so for over 20 years. I've recently decided to transition to take a little sabbatical and work my own business at a hair salon. So that's what I'm doing at the moment.
Nice.
Yeah.
TA needs the break. You can't keep going or you'll just burn out. Well, thanks for being on the show. We'll jump right in. This will be a shorter segment, which is what we're going to be doing now on Kbex for the audience. But so we'll just start at the beginning stage for candidates. Obviously, that first step is an application.
Yeah.
And there's just all types out there right now. But obviously, there could be a ton of red flags. But if you could narrow it down to the top 3 red flags at the job application stage to look out for.
I would say the first thing when it comes to the job application, let's think about the job description first. That's the first thing you want to consider. How long is it? What are the expectations? And also, what's that salary range if it's listed? And so some things you want to look out for too is typos. Research the company first. Now, like you said, there's so much going on out in the market. And some of these job descriptions, not real. The companies are not real. So you have to do a little bit more homework now. So let's start there with that job application. I mean, that job description to make sure you're getting it right. The second thing you probably want to consider when you're thinking about those red flags, the company within itself. Do a little extra homework. Is this a company I want to work for? Go to some of your job boards and see Glassdoor, Reddit. What are the employees there currently saying before you put your name on the paper?
Yeah.
And I would say from my personal experience, lastly, is the application process as a whole. That's a red flag for me. If I've already uploaded my resume and then I have to go through and fill out a full-on application again on your online platform, if it's dated, it says a lot to me about internal processes, especially being in HR.
Yeah. What about that number 3 point, the length of the application? What would you say is a normal, maybe green flag application length?
Well, see, think about this with technology now, right? You can drop your resume in and that information will be parsed pretty quickly. Like you just have to fill it in. If you drop your resume in on a job applicant site and you still have to put in your name, your address, everything, and then they want everything, even managers' information, phone numbers, that's a pretty dated system.
Yeah.
Now, not all companies, doesn't make it a bad company, just mean you may be moving a little slow.
Yeah.
And that could be happening internal, like it's a very slow moving company. They're not up to date with technology. And then that also will lead into what's my performance going to be like here if it's moving this slow at the beginning? Everything starts to wrap around itself and see it. So that's a huge red flag. For me personally, I'd be like, yeah, that's going to take me another 30 minutes. I'm not applying.
Yeah, I don't blame you, especially made a point about them asking for your manager's phone numbers already before you even have an interview and no one wants their references, blown up or called and they don't give them a heads up. I mean, I wouldn't want that to happen to my references. So,
but think about an old applicant system.
Oh,
probably when the state of North Carolina first went to online, and this is many years ago, right? But when they first went online, taking online applicants, they would ask for all of this information. So now if a company is using that same information today, it's like, oh, it's pretty dated.
Yeah.
I'm probably like, that's not going to be a good fit for me.
Might take you 4 months to get an approval on something, even using a
I was
system.
like, well, no, boy, no, I couldn't think of that. Yeah.
I remember a long time ago, I did a job application at, I think it was Starbucks. And this was like, in high school. And I think it took 2 hours. And I went by there in my suit and I'm like, here's my resume. And I never got a call back. But the applications used to be really long. I haven't applied in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're like
Yeah.
long anymore and ask for like personality. But would that be a red flag, you think? Or is that still normal?
What personality?
Like asking you personality, like soft skills questions and it taking an hour to fill out?
Yeah, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen that? Okay.
I haven't seen that recent years, but it could be on the side of the business that I'm on. So I haven't seen that. If I probably did, I'd probably be like, yeah, no. Because you have to understand.
No, I wouldn't. I'm
You
like,
have
no.
to understand what's going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Right. So, if you're seeing it in the beginning, and this is something that you kind of questioning, you may not know anyone there, that's definitely something you want to kind of step back from and be like, yeah, I think I'm going to pass on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The salary ranges. So this is kind of new. I mean, I know in California that they have to put the salary range on there or a salary. But people are like, well, yay, we have salaries, but now they're really wide ranges. It's like you can work for 20K or 100K. So what's a red flag with the salary range and what should it say? And is it a red flag if there's not a salary range on the job description?
I think that salaries on a job description, I think it's a plus. I think that's a positive. The reason why, because it allows that applicant to decide whether or not this is within their range, right? So if it's too low, you already know this is not for me. If it goes extremely, we're going to use this as an example. Let's say we're going to start with 75,000, but the range goes to 150. The job is either worth 75,000 or 150.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking most applicants are going to think they're going to get that middle, right?
Yeah.
They're probably going to pay me around at least 125. And they're not, right?
Yeah.
Because that recruiter is going to say, oh, no, but that's a little more than what we want to pay for this role. Well, why are you advertising that?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
it gets people hopeful, right? But then you think about the bands or the grades for those particular roles. 75 at a band 5 at your organization. Okay, that may work. But for the same role, you're going to pay me coming in at like 175? That's more like your manager level, right?
Yeah.
So you're like, no.
Yeah.
No. Little red flags there too, because these are things that are important on making decisions on whether or not someone is going to actually apply or you're going to find good candidates.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing for the companies to think about.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, wide range, we're going to get more applicants. And it's like, are you getting the
You're getting
right
quality candidates.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Because if I see a salary that's probably beyond my reach that I probably haven't reached yet, I'm going to apply. You may not call me, but I'm going to apply.
Yeah,
but this
shoot
is
your
a
shot.
waste of time for recruiters, to try to find that candidate to fit the organization that they're looking for because of the salary range. Yeah.
So you mentioned, I'm going to go back a little bit to look into the job that you're applying to. You see the job, it looks good, but let's check out the company. What are some, you go to the company's website. What would be a red flag on the company's website? Or maybe not, maybe a yellow flag, like anything, or are you talking more, see if it fits kind of the culture you're looking for, but like, would there be a screaming red flag, like, ooh, this is not the company, and not including Glassdoor, just the company's website?
Well, right. Again, now we have to think about it like this. It depends on what fits that person's mold, right? So if I go on a red flag, I go onto a company's website and they're saying something like, we're family oriented, or you go and you're reading through more of the job description than what's been posted on job boards. And it said, your accountability, everybody's for performance. And you're just like, wow, you kind of get a little antsy whether or not this is something you want to do. Is this a go, go, go all the time? Is there any balance here? I'm always looking for an opportunity to have work-life balance. A lot of people are not talking about that anymore. It's an employer's market.
Yeah.
Creating a balance. And if it's nice to see the ping pong tables and the free popcorn, but is that because we expect you to be at work all the time?
Yeah. I worked at a company with a ping pong table.
Yeah.
And I got up my first week. I hit my numbers. It was Friday. And I think I lasted 30 seconds at the ping pong table. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, I hit my numbers. They're like, that's how you want to settle. You want to settle. You could surpass your numbers. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
You see, like it's fun, right?
No one played ping pong.
Right.
We'd have like
things are
tournaments.
Great.
Yeah.
Those things are great to have in the organization. But for me now, where I am in my career, it's like I'm like, okay, do I want to exchange popcorn and soda for being at home? I do.
Yeah.
You
Pizza parties.
I do. I want to be at home. Like I want to create balance in my life, so I'm able to give my best, while I'm working. So those are some things you want to think about, and then look at the numbers. What are the numbers? If their numbers are promoted somewhere, look at what they're bringing in. Look at their growth.
Yeah.
If that's an option, go look for some of the media that may not be in their best favor. That's important.
Mm-hmm. I think on LinkedIn, I don't think I have premium. I don't even know. But when you go on LinkedIn, have you seen it? You go to the company, and at the bottom, there's a section that says insights, and it shows the growth. I don't know the algorithm or anything. It's probably just based on what they're putting in. But then their turnover, their tenure, is that a reliable source, or I don't know what it's connected to be honest.
I don't know, given that it's there on that LinkedIn space, right? I don't know, because where are we driving these numbers from?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm assuming it might just be LinkedIn. Like how many people are saying they work there, then they don't work there. And then I guess
if that's LinkedIn, then that's a small pool of what's actually happening. When we're talking about growth, we're talking about how is this company performing as a whole.
Yeah.
So outside of employees, are we scaling at massive rates that, gives you some sense of stability, or are we scaling to, kind of eventually, in a lack of better words, kind of having to redeploy some of our employees?
Yeah.
Okay. Thinking about what growth and stability looks like too on some of those companies' websites.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. We'll always think about that.
Yeah, for sure. Great. Let's move on to the interview stage.
Yeah.
So what's the top 3 red flags at the interview stage?
For me, number 1 is the communication for me, whether it's with whoever's in charge, communication, rescheduling. So, being responsive is number 1. So that's why I said communication. So if you need to reschedule me, what's my likelihood of being, responded to? If I have a question, if they always say, reach back if you have any questions, are you really going to respond? Even if I'm not a fit,
Yeah.
So I think that's number 1. Number 2, in a job interview, I would always look for subtle cues. When I graduated from college, I wanted every job that I interviewed for. I really did. I wanted every job because, you're hungry. You want to work.
You want all the yeses.
Yes. I want to work here. I want to work here. And then when I stopped, it was like, you know what? Pay attention to what's happening in front of you. And what's happening in front of you is, you were going in the office then. What is the culture like? So let's just say I walked into one place. It was so quiet in there. I mean, quiet. And it was a floor full of people. I was nervous. I was just like, why is it so quiet? These are little small cues that you don't really think about.
Yeah.
Because if you're somebody that may like to just maybe listen to music while you're working softly, or, don't mind catching up, or just have to have some type of noise happening, that's not going to be a good fit for you.
Yeah. We're going,
so
go crazy.
It's the small cues, and like, how are the interviewers interacting with each other? Is there somebody that's hogging the interview? Like, okay, well, you asked Kailyn a question, but yet Mary's responding for Kailyn, and then she wants to add in. You have to pay attention to the small cues, and that person that you're responding to, or if they're the hiring manager, if they say, I'm very hands-on. I'm a very hands-on manager. That's a key for I am your micromanager.
Yeah.
So,
what do you mean?
What do you mean? You're very hands-on. Does that mean you trust me to do my job, or I'm available if you need me?
Yeah.
9 times out of 10, that means I'm going to be in your face all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
exactly.
cute. That's a red flag in an interview. And then I would say, lastly, the thing that you want to consider doing an interview is, are they answering your questions? Did they give you the opportunity to ask questions, and are they answering them?
Yeah.
To the best of your ability. The response that you're trying to get from them that they probably never give.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll take, for example, I interviewed with an organization, and I saw that they had family owned and operated. We have a great time, all of this stuff. And I'm excited. And I was like, okay, so I asked her about it, tell me about it. She didn't answer the question about family owned and oriented and we have a great time. She didn't answer any of that. She's just like, well, we have a lot of work to do.
Oh gosh.
I like to give, each team member their projects and I was like, wow, it was kind of a little starchy. So, you want to like, ooh, I was like, wow,
that doesn't seem comfortable.
Didn't really feel comfortable. And then when you ask, especially panels, right? When you ask someone, well, tell me about the culture. And then they look at John.
Yeah, you want to take that one?
Take that one?
Yeah. That's always it. You want to do that one?
You're like, okay.
And they take a deep breath.
And they, what I like to do, and they go right back into talking about the job. It's almost like, okay, did we rehearse this? What are we doing here? Can somebody kick me under the table to tell me to run? What are we doing here? Even if it's virtual, tell me what's happening. Those are red flags. And there's another cue that I just didn't really pick up on. I mean, a subtle cue that I didn't mention was just that energy. How are you feeling? Do you feel comfortable in this interview? Or does this feel like it's some toxicity happening in the background? Because you can feel it even if it's a virtual interview.
Yeah.
And if it's face-to-face, it's even more toxic because you can really feel it. Now you got to experience, you got to walk through it, and you got to get out.
Yep. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I've seen some crazy interviews before. Yeah. And some people still take those jobs. But some people thrive in chaos. They're like, whatever.
And again, remember, I said, it's all in what you like.
Yeah.
It's all in what you like. Some people like chaos and crazy. I tend to like a well-oiled, organized machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. So what about, because I see this a lot on LinkedIn and I hear it from our candidates at Kbex and whatnot, but the amount of rounds of interviews, how many should there be, or what's a red flag? Like, that's too many rounds.
Listen, I don't know what's happening right now. It is really becoming like a thing. HR, y'all need to stop it. Like, stop it. It's becoming too much, right?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, maybe 3 is to top it off with the whomever I need to meet, the CEO. I don't know, But now you're starting to ask people for 4 and 5 interviews, presentations. It's too much.
Yep.
It's too much. And if you can't make a decision by your 3rd round, then guess what? We need to clean out this entire department because nobody can make a decision.
Yeah. Yeah. Too many. I've noticed when in that situation, it's, we'll get a position at Kbex and they'll be like, okay, they're going to meet 6 people. And it's going to be 1 at each time. And I'm like, no. We're never going to fill this position because each one of you individually has a different idea of the role anyway.
Yeah.
So then we're going to get to 5. No, we're going to get to 3rd person. No, like y'all all come together, split it into 2. And then
let's be honest with you. Probably of the 6, 3 of them don't even know the job.
Yeah. Some will be like, what am I interviewing for? Can you send me the job description? I'm like,
or
what?
Somebody was out and can you just fill in for them? So they're not really paying attention to anything you say because they don't understand why they're in the interview process anyway with you.
Yeah.
You mean to tell me I need to impress 19 people before I get a job offer? Let me check this salary one more time. Oh, yeah, no. It's at some point you have to stop.
That's true. That's a good point.
I have stopped the interview process for myself a few times because, I've interviewed with one person, then I've come back, oh, they would love to speak. Okay, I'll go back and I'll speak with this person. Okay, and then I'm like, oh, June, they enjoyed you. They want to set you up to meet with. And I would say, thank you, but no, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have it in me.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's preference. Some people don't mind talking with somebody for 6 hours. I feel like at this point, interviews should come with a 1099.
It should. It is your time. You're driving to them. You're answering all their questions. Yeah, you're right.
When you go past 3 interviews, I'm billing you. That's what we should start doing, right?
Yeah, I
because
think so.
Think about it. And then at the end of it, you've given somebody 6, 7 interviews, and they don't have the decency to tell you did not get the job.
Yeah, or any feedback or anything.
Any feedback. Or if you ask for feedback, we just went another way.
We just went another round, yeah.
Or, yeah, we're still considering this role. Or, thank you, but we went with someone internal.
Oh,
I spent 3 days with you. I
that
feel
one
cheated.
makes you want to cry.
I'm slighted.
We're going internal. No, you're not. No, you're not.
Wasn't this person there the entire process?
Yeah. Oh God, that one's
If
the
you're
worst.
doing internal, 9 times out of 10, you know you're going to do that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it at 2 interviews.
Yeah, it's almost like they do just a market. Like, oh, let's just see what's out there. It's like, stop wasting people's time.
The market, people are hungry right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you just want to see what's in the market?
Yeah.
People don't have time for that.
Mm-mm. Call an agency. They'll tell you what's in the market.
You want to see what's in the market? Log on and share. Do some research.
Yeah.
You know, you by all means, go to LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm. Someone will tell you. Go to someone who's recruiting in that industry. What's the market looking like? This, that. Okay, done. Now hire your internal person or decide not to.
Go to a researching company to get that information.
Yeah.
Don't do that to people because it's so unfair.
Yeah, it's
so
really unfair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put a lot of time in it in hopes, especially nowadays with how the job market is.
I think in the last 2 weeks, I've at least spoken with 4 people who have done extensive interviews.
And I'm kind of referring to like not executive. Even
No.
executive, it shouldn't be that many, but like
No.
I
Believe
get
it or
why
not,
that one's a little bit more.
Executives probably get 3, and they out because executives are not going to give you that kind of time. Let's be honest.
That's
They're not going
true.
to give you that kind of time. But they have gone through extensive interviews. And out of the 4, maybe 1 got an offer.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them require presentations.
I'll add a red flag to that. When you go to multiple rounds of interviews, it's a red flag in itself. But I guess the sub red flag would be they all ask you the same questions. You go to one round.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself. Strengths and weaknesses. The next one, same thing. The next one. And it's like, can you just tell them my
pass the
strengths?
notes.
Yeah, pass your notes over. It's so easy too. It's so avoidable for companies. And then they don't think about how it affects their brand or anything. It's like that person's going to go tell all their friends of the terrible experience that they just had.
Listen, it goes back to what you're able to deal with. If I go to you and you go to send me to the next person, and we all asking the same questions, nobody can make a decision here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We need 9 people to tell you about me. I just told 9 people about, and to explain to you my skills and my background and why I want this role. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And it's draining.
Mm-hmm.
It's really draining.
Really draining. I've had a couple hiring managers I've worked with in the past, and they're like, well, she or he answered this question differently than when, Joe answered it. And I'm like, well, what were the 2 different answers? And they're like, well, she said it this way, and then she said it this way to the other person. And it was very similar. I think she got like a week off on one of them. And I'm thinking,
so so what are we doing with that now? Are we CIA? Were we trying to catch people in lies? What are we doing?
We'll bring the lie detector test.
What are we doing? Why would that even matter?
Oh gosh, wild. And this
people
role
are
been for
nervous.
6 months.
They're nervous, and they're trying to impress you. They want to impress the next one.
Mm-hmm.
The anxiety is high.
Yeah.
If she said something different and they're like, no, we're going to go with someone else, I'd be like, great choice.
Yeah.
Really? Because, I wouldn't want to put her through that. I wouldn't want her to go work for an organization that's going to be on her like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We told her too, we're like, hey, this is their hesitations. Like, it's kind of bogus. We're going to leave it to you. What do you think about it? And she's like, she was a bit higher up. She goes, I'm going to call them out for it. I was like, okay. And I gave her the phone number and she called them out for it. And they're like, we loved it. And she explained it. And, and ended up hiring her. She actually went in there and
see how
ran around in circles.
Was?
Yeah.
But you're going to come back to
She goes, let me talk to him. I'm like, okay. Good. Because I couldn't talk sense into him.
Right.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, those interview, the rounds, too many rounds, people asking the same questions, unorganized, just kind of high leveling it before we move on to the offer stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are big ones to look out for.
Yeah. And then they also say, well, what are you looking for in an interview? What are you looking for? And you mean in terms of this job, salary? What are we talking about?
Yeah.
And then it'll be 2 or 3 people. What are you looking for in the salary? Should we be discussing this right now?
Yeah.
This is a little premature.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. What do you think about, and then we'll move on to the offer stage, but when a recruiter or hiring manager says, what are you looking for in terms of salary? And then the candidate says, well, what are you offering? And then there's that back and forth.
That banter.
that banter and that, yeah. What do you think about that? What do you say? What do you
are my
say to
thoughts?
that really?
Well, it's a catch-22. It's a catch-22. And I only say that because sometimes that's their little wean out process.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I hit a number that was way over their budget. Well, why ask me what I'm looking for?
Yeah.
I'm speaking from my experience only. Again, I only want to be clear with that because I don't want people to say, well, she made it seem as if it was God. No, I'm making you, this is what I've experienced. This is for me.
Yeah.
Right? Don't ask me what I'm looking for. If you've already put the range out there, I've applied, I want something within this range. If you have not, and then you say what I'm looking for, I give you a number. And if it's not within your budget, then that's fine. The question is, does it come with any negotiation at all?
Mm-hmm.
Right? But the back and forth, it's either do you want the person or you don't.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
And
That's
sometimes,
true.
in all fairness, with companies, they went too high and they could have offered less.
Yeah.
Than what they got in return. So I think it's one of those things. It's a catch-22, right? Because you want the job, you want to make sure you're within reason. So I say do that market research before you go in there.
Yeah.
Keep it within that market research on that salary for that job for the area. You already know where you're going to fall.
Okay.
Keep it within.
Good tip.
I think that's the best thing you could do.
Yeah.
I think it's unrealistic and I'm going to use that example we gave, like 75 to 175 or 150. Some jobs I've seen where it says, if you live in certain states, this is your range. If
the cost of living.
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
If you're in New York, 9 times out of 10, your range is going to be a lot higher to start.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. You can't expect North Carolina to offer you the same thing.
Yeah, my friend in New York gets this, and you're in,
Yeah, well,
Rocky Mount.
the costs of living, right?
Yeah,
The GDP is much higher there.
Yeah,
than it would be in North Carolina. So
that's a good tip.
I think it's fair.
Yeah, so when you're searching
Do
your area.
Do the research for the area that the job is going to be in.
Yeah.
So if you are applying for a job that says North Carolina, use North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Now if the job says requires you to relocate, I wouldn't say use North Carolina data when the job is requiring you to move to Denver. It's much expensive to live in Denver.
Yeah. Okay. Now the offer stage.
Yeah.
What's your
Good
top
stuff.
3 red
We
flags
made
for
it
an
there.
offer? Yeah.
We made it to the offer.
Yay.
Give yourself a round of applause. You made it through 9 interviews. Okay.
A presentation.
A presentation.
It's been a year.
Listen, okay. And 4 months for a callback. You in.
Celebrate, frame it, and put it on your wall.
Yes. Give yourself a sticker. Number 1.
You start putting those on
Listen,
offers.
I survived whatever company that is interview process.
Yep.
First thing, that verbal offer. Look, let's see if they even still remember your name. No, on the verbal offer, you want to make sure that you are accepting the offer for the job you actually interviewed for. That salary is one that you are agreeing to. Because there's been times when, in my work experience, where a candidate will say, oh, well, we came up with 75, but once I get in, I'm going to see if I can talk them up more. No.
Oh, gosh.
Everything starts here.
Mm-hmm.
Here. So, you want to make sure that you are agreeing to the salary at the beginning during the job offer phase.
Yeah.
That's the verbal side. Another warning on that, if you're doing a written offer, make sure you get a written offer before you go letting your other job know you're leaving.
Oh, yes. Oh, gosh. So many people do that. Why do they do that?
They do verbal, and the verbals are sometimes contingent.
Yeah,
on
on
a number of
references.
things.
Yeah,
references. Yeah.
Background checks.
Background checks. Whether or not we still have the funding or, a number of reasons. I wouldn't tell my manager I'm leaving until they give me that written offer, and the salary is what we agreed to.
Mm-hmm.
Also on that written offer, you want to make sure the benefits are aligned to what's on their website.
Yeah.
A thing I'm running from on a written offer is if they have arbitration there. like, oh, you can't do an arbitration. You have to do an arbitration with us first if anything comes up. That's a red flag to me.
What's an arbitration?
Where it's saying like if anything happens, you have to use like our lawyers or allow us to kind of resolve it first.
Oh, that's a good tip.
No. Because I feel like, and this is just me, if we're already discussing this at the beginning, and this has happened before.
Yeah.
And it may not have turned out in the company's favor. So we're just going to go ahead and lay this out in the beginning, so they already know you have to come through us. We won't talk to your attorneys because we have to go through the legal process first, and you have to go through it with us.
So if someone sees it on their offer letter, what can you do? Just not accept it or try to negotiate and be like, hey, take this part out, like redline it?
I think that's the thing too. Like, I don't think we understand that this is a relationship, right? It doesn't feel like that because it's something that you want. So you think that you don't have a voice in it, but it is a relationship, and this is a great way to get it started. It's always worth questioning. At least ask about it and see what kind of feedback you get, right? If they say this is just our standard process, I was like, okay, well, where's this documented in the organization? Because should you need to, go there, you need to know where these policies are kept. If it ever got there, prayerfully not. I'm just saying, you want to make sure it's there. Ask any questions. Like, some people will take the job like, that's not the salary that I really negotiated or was hoping for. And they take it anyway on the hopes of the back end that they'll be able to talk them out of it. It's not going to happen. This is the start of where your forever is. You're walking in at your $95,000 and you was hoping that you was going to get the 120. But guess what? Every time your performance evaluations come around, it's starting at that 95, not the 120 you were hoping for.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to nail that in right there.
Yeah.
Nail it in. Yeah. Make sure that it's grammatically correct. That's always important. And that your name and everything is inside with what was on your job application.
Yeah. And the weird thing I've seen the past couple of years, not often, it's a bit rare, but some companies, they offer like a bonus basically, or a monthly stipend just for the first couple months. But they're like, but we don't put that in our offers because it's a unique situation. I'm like, well, can you add an addendum? And they were just like flat out no from a couple of my clients. And I was like, well, I need it in an email in writing.
Somewhere.
I need it somewhere from your HR and you, both on the email. Send it to me in writing, and then then I feel more comfortable presenting it. But I hadn't run into that in my first, 5-6 years in recruitment. They ended up paying it and everything, obviously, but I don't know if that would be so obvious for other people. Obviously I've experienced that with them, but what do you think if a company says, we're going to give you a $3,000 sign-on, but it's not in basically our template, so we can't add it?
Oh, no.
I thought it was odd too.
That again.
I'm like, am I missing something?
But see, this is the thing. People don't understand that this is a relationship. Go back and ask them.
Yeah.
I was told I would get a sign-on bonus. If they say, oh, yeah, you will. Well, guess what? If anything happens before I get my sign-on bonus, let's just say that manager leaves or the HR department restructures, I don't get my bonno I really came here for the bonus,
And then you have nothing in writing to fall back on. Yeah.
No. If it's not, no. That again, a red flag. These are things that you want to make sure. That's why it's like the agreed to salary. Your sign-on bonus is part of your salary. Whatever they told you, if it's a relocation, whatever that amount is going to be, have them to give it to you. If not in that offer letter, send it to me via email. I will be waiting before I send you back this signed offer letter. I'm not signing it until I get everything outlined, because people tend to forget the promises they make once you're on board.
Yeah, that's true. They're like, I didn't say that or this and that too.
Oh, well, no, it's a process. Or you didn't tell me that to get this $10,000 bonus that I needed to at least be here for 6 months. Or you give me half first and then I get the other half later. Whatever that process is, just make somebody else aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Yeah.
What else about offers? What about, and then we'll wrap up after this question, but for offers that say, you have 24 hours to respond or 48 hours to respond, what do you think about that? Is that a red flag, or is that people just trying to fill it fast? What do you think about that quick turnaround?
Now, I will say this again. We have to be fair to the companies. They could have been burned before. Who knows? Like they've been waiting on candidates that they thought were ideal, and they just kind of had them dangling, but they knew they were waiting for another offer. Mm-hmm. If I'm not good enough to put you on hold for 48 hours, I'm probably not going to be a good fit. It's just me. I just been interviewed with you for 4 months, and now you rushing me for 2 days? No.
Yeah.
Because to me, what's the rush? If we want to hurry up and close this wreck, we want to close this role. We want to get this person in. There's a rush. That makes me nervous. Mm-hmm. And I say it makes me nervous because a number of reasons. When you're trying to hurry up and push the envelope on something, now if there's some behind the scenes things going on, that's fair. But we want to hurry up and get this person in because somebody's leaving. That means I'm going to get probably 10% of training at best.
Yeah.
And then I have to figure it out on my own. Mm-hmm. I probably say, well, I need whatever amount of time I need, and I'll get back with you if the offer still stands.
Is there like a fair amount of time, like a week or?
Yeah, I'm not going to leave somebody hanging for a week.
Yeah.
Now, if you're talking about probably relocating your family and kids like
that's
that,
a bigger decision.
That's a much larger decision to make. And so you may have to talk to your family and your community about how this is going to look going forward, right? Mm-hmm. Before making this decision and whether or not this is going to be comparable for a move.
Yeah.
Because you think about it, if you relocate from North Carolina to Alabama and you don't know anybody, you have kids, you have to think about daycare and schools and how is this going to work?
Selling your house.
And buying a house there. And what does that process look like? So it's much more detail. Mm-hmm. So you may offer a little bit more time there, but I think that you should be able to get back to somebody within at least 4 days if you really want this job.
Yeah.
Because good talent is not going to wait for you to make an offer. Yep. Just like a good company is not going to have to wait on you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think that in fairness, I think you can make that decision in 4 days.
Yeah.
I think, personally.
I agree with you. I think 4 days is plenty of time.
Yeah.
5 days.
5 days.
You better have another offer you're considering.
And sometimes that's what they're waiting on.
Yeah. Can we push it out 2 more days?
But again,
like tell the other company to hurry up.
I've been waiting for you for 6 months, so
yeah, you could have done it sooner, and then all these other interviews wouldn't happen. Yeah. Top talent goes fast, and they're interviewing and they're landing their interviews.
Yeah, so. Good. Yeah.
Well, I think that's really it. So I know that you do something on the side, coaching. I don't know what specifically. Obviously, you have your services, but are you doing that, or is that later?
Well, no,
I know you're taking a hiatus.
I'm doing my hiatus. I am. But in the meantime, I haven't fallen out of this HR consulting / coaching space. But I'm doing this from my chair. I work at a hair salon, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm using my own time just to be flexible, and I'm meeting more people asking me more HR questions than I could have ever imagined.
Just start a new company, haircut with job advice at the same time.
What I'm saying?
Just an extra fee.
I owe a few people some correspondence because they're asking me for like a consulting contract. So yeah, I'm doing that. But I'm in Cary, North Carolina, the Hair Grinch.
Oh, is that what it's called?
I
love that. The Hair Grinch. Yeah. How can someone contact you?
They can always look me up on Instagram at Hair Grinch, or you can call me at 984-9916.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you, June. This is really good advice. Everyone look out for those red flags. They're out there floating around.
They are.
Yeah.
But be patient. Be patient with the company and be patient with yourself. You're going to get that job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. This was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.